Hello people, Jugglet here. 10 things I would do to change DBD and hopefully improve the game. Number 1 is new player killer perks, and what I mean by this is killer perks for people who've just bought the base game. So as a new player, if you buy the game, these are the killers you get to start with. Trapper, Hillbilly, Wraith, Nurse, and Huntress, I believe. So the actual killers aren't too bad, a nice mixture, but one problem I see about this is the lack of gen slowdown with the perks from these killers. With that being said, I think the following 5 perks could be doing with a little small rework to help new killers have a hope in a trial. Because of how DBD's MMR is, you might get a lobby with some not so new players. So let's start off with Territorial Imperative, a Huntress perk at the moment, and it gives you all reading every time someone enters the basement if you are 24 meters away. I think that's fine, but let's add something to it. Any generator within 32 meters of the basement has a difficult skill check at 50% and 75% respectively. Failing these skill checks blocks the generators for 10 seconds. It's simple, it's small, it won't break the game, and it'll help newer players have a little bit of slowdown, all whilst keeping in with the perk lore protecting the basement area. Next up is Wraith. He has 2 perks in particular which need changing, Predator and Bloodhound. So let's start with Predator, which gives you the ability to track scratch marks slightly better. Keep that on, that's fine. And add the following. Every time you damage a survivor for 1 health state, reveal the aura of the furthest away survivor for 8 seconds. Again, it's simple, it gives you some knowledge of where other people are, and it doesn't break the game. It will help newer players learn survivors' whereabouts. Okay, so Bloodhound, it makes it so that you can see pools of blood a lot clearer. Keep that as it is. Again, add the following. Injuring a survivor causes them to block their next vault location for 10 seconds. It's like a mini bamboozle for survivors. They bamboozle themselves. You could even partner it with bamboozle to create a total dead zone, especially at TNL walls. But this would be a nice, again, for new players to have option to be able to block windows without having to buy a chapter. The final perk is Strider, which is a nurse perk, and it makes breathing and grunts of pain slightly louder. It used to be a very good spirit perk, but not many people seem to use it at all nowadays. I think keep the effects as it is and add the following. Once there is only 1 generator left in the trial, all survivors scream and reveal their aura for 1 second. If a survivor is working on a generator at the time, it becomes blocked for 15 seconds. It's like an endgame corrupt intervention, but a lot smaller. Screaming keeps it in line with the perk name being Strider. A lot of perks from both sides do need reshuffling and changing, and that's on both sides. But I feel the new killer perks are a lot worse than the survivor ones, who have Meg Thomas, who has Quick and Quiet, Adrenaline, and Sprint Burst. All 3 are very solid perks. If anybody starts DBD and wants to level someone up quickly for perks, I would always say Meg because of her perks being so strong. Okay, so that's number 1 out of the way. On to number 2, the Great Perk Shuffle. And what I mean by this is do exactly what they did in, I think, June 2022 when they tweaked all the big meta perks and all of the not so meta perks to create this huge shift in meta, and it made the game feel fresh and good for another 6 months. I think they should be doing this yearly because it keeps things fresh and gives dead perks a chance on both killers and survivors. Okay, number 3, deselect a certain killer. I know, this is going to sound really like one of those hot takes, but I think the ability to deselect a killer when playing as survivor, just 1 killer, for me right now it would be either Skull Merchant, Knight, Plague, or Legion. I just simply don't enjoy playing against them. So if you could have the ability to deselect one of those, your queue might be a bit longer, but that's up to you. I mean, some people won't like this idea, but I do honestly. Sometimes you have one of those days where you play against like 3 or 4 of the same killer over and over again, and it gets really, really stale quickly. Number 4. The add-on overhaul on the following killers, which I think need them the most. Pyramid Head, Oni, Myers, Freddy, Pig, Knight. And I would probably say Nemesis, but to be honest with you, I think a lot of his are kind of fun. But the first lot I've just mentioned there are so boring. They're so just like tweaking small numbers here and there. That's not that fun. One killer in particular I think they should try and draw off is Wesker, because he is such a nice mix of add-ons from like really nice ones to just ones which change his playstyle and make him a bit more fun. Number 5. Reworking killers, and in particular I'm talking about Myers, Pig, and Freddy. These could be amazing and imaginative, but because they've been out for so long, they just seem to be left to rot. I know the roadmap shows Pig tweaks, but she needs more than a tweak. She needs a full overhaul. Number 6 is weekend game modes. The first being the 1v1 weekend event. So maybe once per month, or maybe even twice per month for 3 days, have a 1v1 mode where you can queue for. The killer and survivor spawn in 1 of 4 maps for that weekend, and all perks and powers are disabled. The killer is default Trapper, so it's a basic 115 movement speed killer. The killer sees the aura of the survivor for 10 seconds at the start of the trial. After 1 minute, a hatch will spawn. If the survivor gets to the hatch, the round restarts. If the killer gets to the hatch, he can close it. After another minute, a hatch will spawn again, and the survivor can see its aura for 2 seconds. It's best of 3, so if the killer gets 2 downs, they win. If the survivor gets 2 hatch escapes, they also win. However, if the killer closes 3 hatches, the exit gates open automatically for the survivor. If the survivor gets out, they get double the BP, and the killer also receives double for closing 3 hatches, up to a maximum of 20k BP, can be earned from this minigame. Once the exit gate is opened, endgame collapse also happens. So with that game mode, I think the longest it could probably take is maybe 10 minutes, but I just think it'd be a really, really cool, fun idea. Number 7 is 2v8, which is another game mode again, and I think this could split the player base, so it'd probably be once a month for a weekend event. But I would love to see that. It'd be so cool. Number 8 would be a non-separate game mode that gives you random perks for 30% increased blood points from the trial. Perk Roulette. Streamers use this when they're trying to have some fun. Why not just implement it into the game every weekend? You have the option to turn on Perk Randomizer for an increased blood point percentage. At the end of the trial, it'll show you who's using Perk Roulette for killers and survivors. Also, this could be a good way of letting people try perks that they haven't bought yet through chapters. It might even incentivize people to buy them, making DBD more money, which we all know they love. Number 9. This one's a bit of a hot take. It's tweak to the heavy hitters. Make Blight's movement speed 110. That's it. That's the big one for me. His power is strong enough for this to be the case. He would still be an S tier killer, and also I believe the nurse needs a tweak, but I don't know how to tweak her at all without breaking her. I'm like scratching my head with an idea. One thing I was thinking about was making her last blink unable to go through walls, but increase her base movement speed to 100%. So she's the same speed as survivors, but maybe she doesn't get bloodlust, something like that. I know this is a little harsh on her, and a lot of people will be like, oh, that's not really a good idea at all. But I just think it'd be nice to see a shift in the meta of the actual top killers, and they're the top 2. Number 10, Buyable Moris, and also the ability to Mori the last remaining survivor in the trial. I know they've toyed with this idea, and they were debating maybe removing Moris. I don't think Moris needed to be removed at all. It's a fun finishing move, and it can only occur once survivor's on death hook anyway. I also think, why not give the last remaining survivor a small amount of BP for being the last one alive and being Mori'd? Something along the lines of, your pain please the entity, have 3k blood points, whatever. Obviously less basic than that, but you get the idea. I know some people get upset at being Mori'd, and this might help them not feel so personally attacked. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these ideas. If you have any, leave a comment, because I actually quite like, you know, reading people's ideas and hot takes on what they would do to change DBD to make it a bit more fun or a bit more balanced. It's a really hard game to balance because, you know, there's so many variations. Other things that changes, maps obviously need reworking, palette spawns are a bit like and yeah, there's a lot of things. Anyway, like, subscribe, and other YouTube things. Take care.